Morning on Enterprise Television. I am Ken the Boderu.
And I am Henry Igwebike.
Right, so it's a start of a new day, and we are glad to have you on the show. We will kick off with today's newspaper review, and before diving into the main conversation of the day, yes, I know you don't want to miss that. You can join the conversation by dropping your comments, liking, and following us on all our social media platforms at EnterpriseTV7. So joining us to share the matters at hand is Barrister Evans Ufeli. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning.
And also a public affairs analyst. You're always welcome, sir.
Thank you. All right, so let's kick start today with the first daily on our desk from the Guardian newspaper. It is. We have big story. National Grid faces 5.6 trillion naira revenue loss as premium customers exit.
Okay, we have on the top strip, we have Sowore CSO push back as DSS asks X to delete anti-Tinubu tweet.
And also we have insecurity. Northern leaders demand state of emergency and sack of service chiefs.
Okay, still on the top strip, we have custom exempt $300 parcels from tax as cargo owners decry duty payment disruption.
And also army neutralizes 4 terrorists, arrest 64 suspects in nationwide operations.
Okay, we have parents ground as school resume, Imo outlaws some practices.
And also Leadway Holdings announces acquisition of PAL pension.
Okay, still
Yes.
on the Guardian newspaper, we have mayhem as thugs invade rally for Obi Roads Vivo in Lagos.
So let's get to the talking point from the Guardian newspaper, and it's on the Sowore case and the DSS. And I'd love to read some excerpts from that particular story. And just before I get to doing that, I have a caveat here. This is not the position of Enterprise Television. So what I am about to read is coming from what Sowore had stated, and I'd love to say it here. Controversial post read, this criminal at official BAT actually went to Brazil to state that there is no more corruption under his regime in Nigeria. What audacity to lie shamelessly. Barrister Ufeli, I'd love you to have your say on this, especially citing Nigeria's law, according to the DSS, that Sowore's tweet violated Section 51 of the Criminal Code Act, Section 19, 22, and 24 of the Cyber Crimes Act of 2025, as well as provisions of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022. It maintained, that is the DSS, that both the author and the platform, that is X, could be held criminally liable. Speak to us.
Yes, this is a statement coming from the DSS. I mean, to the fact that the statement made were seditious, or that the statement made by Sowore flouted certain criminal laws of the country, namely the Cybercrime Act,
Yes.
the Terrorism Prevention Act, and some other subsidiary legislations. Now, this expression, they are all subject to proof and evidence. I know that it is wrong to make statements, overwhelming, sweeping statements of that are seditious against a country or against a nation. Then you incite, such statement can incite people. Okay, such statement can also bring a country to disrepute. Given that the platform under which it was shared is a platform, a global platform. Yeah. I mean, Twitter is practically all over, apart from Asia and which other continent? One other continent. It's practically everywhere. Okay, so Sowore went to the extreme. For me, I would advise that such statements are not made in times like this. Nigeria is going through a lot. Nigeria is going through a lot of challenges, from economic challenges to corruption challenges and the rest of that. That's on the one side. But if there's any probe into the assertion or into the state of things in Nigeria, and it turned out that corruption still persists, and it turned out that what the president went to say was falsehood, it becomes fair comment.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the truth. You see, analysis like this must be balanced. As much as I vilify Showore for making such a statement, as much as I think that such statement exposes the Nigerian state to ridicule and disrepute, as much as all those is granted, that citizens must come under certain kind of behavior, all this put together is not just leveled against citizens. Conversely, leaders of countries, people who lead country, president, ministers, legislators, wherever you find yourself, you have opportunity to address Nigerians in diaspora. You owe it a duty to the people in Nigeria to tell them the truth. You must say the truth. I'm not saying the president had lied or whatsoever, but I implore the DSS or the law enforcement agencies or the court or whosoever should do a proper investigation as to the existence or otherwise of corruption in Nigeria. Is there still corruption in Nigeria? Has corruption disappeared? If corruption had disappeared, that means Shole was malicious. He was saying the wrong thing.
But no country would love to watch its dirty learning outside.
You know exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Defamation, sedition, and all that. You can hold somebody liable and responsible to the extent at which the statement made is falsehood or true. You understand? Someone who defames another and it turns out that the statement he made were true, or they can fall under justification. You cannot take the person too far. But if it turns out that such statements were false, and you are making a statement to clarify that, or you are saying that this is saying is false, I mean, you can. I think that the DSS should look at this matter very deeply before they indulge in taking the platform X to scrutiny. Okay, they should not continue to look at the president as the president of the country, that everybody must all be subservient to his whims and caprices, even when he's not doing the right thing or not saying the right thing. Because in Nigeria and Africa, once you are rich, once you are influential, anything you say is true. I'm telling you, you see people laughing and falling on top themselves. Even when what you are saying is wrong and untrue, they'll be happy as long as you are president. I mean, you can change their lives and the rest of them. But can we get one or two objective persons who will look at this issue under reference and say that, the president said this thing, let's go and research, is there still corruption truly or not? Because when he said it, a lot of people, not just Shore, it's just that Shore developed the balls to cross, is the one I can say. Many people were looking at ourselves and looking at our back like that. This thing has ended and we are not aware. We are not aware. It was this thing that they went to. So for me, I will implore the president to stay away from controversial expressions that he knows are false, but he keeps on those statements. Yes, I will talk to the president. I don't have time for sugarcoating anything because I don't even know what I'm living for as I speak now. So president should stay away from this controversial statement that if they are brought under scrutiny, they will not stand the test of truthfulness. Should stop it. Focus on the economy. The duty of the president is to create an enabling environment with institutions of government such that the citizens, institutions, and persons are able to live prosperous. That's his job. That's his job. If you look at section 14.3 of the Constitution, that's his job, to ensure that that happens. And how do you make that happen? It's by putting things in place to ensure that, and it's also by inspiring the citizens. Yes. Sometimes it is by inspiring the citizens. You know, in ancient room, it talked about Marcus Aurelius, the only king that led Rome for 14 years without war. It was said that when the generals and the soldiers in those days, okay, were to go on assignment, external assignment, all Marcus Aurelius need to do is to address them for 10 minutes. So address them for 10 minutes. And once he speaks for 10 minutes, whatever engagement or assignment is already won at that point where he's talking to them, because they are fired up and they are ready to undertake anything. That's leadership.
That's leadership.
Leadership must inspire the citizens. Most importantly, leadership must define the direction of the country. Every speech, every comment, every travel, every assignment outside the countries with Nigerians in diaspora or otherwise must be geared towards moving Nigeria from point A to point B. Okay. So, but when we are scattered this way in our thoughts and statements are made and they are false, or they turn out to be false, or they are suspected to be false, you are going to have citizens, non-state actors, who will want to debunk some of these statements. Yeah. And so it's important that we know exactly what we are doing.
All right.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Very well said. But with all of these, how can civil society protect digital rights, in Nigeria?
Especially coming from what we faced with X during Muhammad Buhari, the closure of X at that point.
Yes. Yeah. For so long a time. These days, once you criticize the government, the next thing they'll do is to go after you using the Cybercrime Act, quoting terrorism, Cybercrime Act, and the rest of that. There's now what we call domestic terrorism. Now, when you make expressions, seditious expressions against an ethnic group and the rest of that. So, first of all, the Constitution, the grand norm, defines freedom of speech. Okay? Freedom of speech is as free as it can be as long as the person making the speech is not involved in falsehood. It's not casting aspersions at persons or institutions or dragging them to disrepute using falsehood. You understand? That's what freedom. But when it goes outside that, that's when you can bring in digital, cyber, whatever it is, and all that. So expressions like this must come under scrutiny. It is not the responsibility of the law enforcement agency to say what cyberbullying is, or to term any expression as falling short of law or falling short of expectation that the law should sanction. It is the court that can say that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they can make allegations. They can charge anyone or any person or institution and frame all kinds of charges. That is one. But whether or not these charges can be proven to meet the elements of that offense is another thing entirely. So, for the law enforcement agency, they can talk about they can tell you that even this expression we're having this morning they can call it anything. They can call it cyber, whatever it is.
Or inciting public.
Yes, inciting public or whatsoever. Yes, but the court of law is the institution that have the authority to state whether this, what we're doing, is against the law or not. But in Nigeria, the problem we face is that the law enforcement agencies, because they come with so much power of coercion, before you get to court, they would have dealt with you mercilessly by arrest, sometimes forceful arrest, abduction, torture, all manner of, before the court even gets to hear you, you have been so brutalized. You have even, what you have gone through might even be more than the punishment meant for that crime.
You're right, sir.
Okay?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you are fatally treated. So that is where we need to work on our system to ensure that people are not mercilessly dealt with when investigation, evidence have not proven that they are truly guilty of an offense or liable of an offense.
All right, so let's continue to watch and see what would happen going forward if X would hit to the cry, the proposition of the DSS on that particular matter. I doubt they would. I doubt they would. Though they have a physical office in Nigeria.
Yes.
Let's see how that goes, though. It's a developing story. But let's get to the big story still on the Guardian newspaper. National Grid faces 5.6 trillion revenue loss as premium customers. Churches, industries, industries, and so. What do you think is the avalanche effect of this to the power sector when everyone is going autonomous?
Yeah, power has been democratized. There's a law that allows it. And a lot of people have been waiting for that law. And now we have the law. As it is now, a street can generate power and sell to the next street. So but it's just unfortunate that the Attorney General of the states, different states of it, have not come with the legal frameworks to have this distribution. There's nothing wrong in it. There's nowhere in the world where you jack everybody under power, under national grid. The last time that you had countries or nation that everybody jacked under power grid is when you used to have the population of the human society was very low. Where you used to have a whole city fenced against external aggression and all that. Everybody is powered. That is, Nigeria is 200 million people. Okay, you know, we said this thing before, that as long as we have refused to abide by the tenets and principles of federalism, that our population explosion will force us into federalism. Yes.
By
we
default.
would decentralize by force. Yes. Because, I mean, putting 200 million people in one basket, calling it national grid. How many, last year, the national grid failed how many times?
Severally.
It has to be collapsed, it will collapse. You know why? Because of the load on it. It cannot carry that much. The facilities cannot even withstand the population. So even if you change the national grid and bring brand new facility, completely overhaul it, how long is it going to stay before it collapses again? Our population is growing by geometric progression. The economy is growing by arithmetic progression. And that is chaos. So democracy or the democratization of electricity or power will become inevitable by virtue of our population. And that's what's going on now, because there are villages where you can actually build a mini solar grid that will power a whole village. You can do that, depending on the population and the size of the village.
And step away from the national grid.
Yes,
totally.
And pull out from national grid totally. Then you can now decide how you want to, how you want the power to run, how you want to, what kind of timetable you want to give it for sustainability. You understand? So all over the world, people are supposed to be connected to power based on their environment. The idiosyncrasies or the whims and caprices of the environment should determine what kind of power resources there can be. Where you have water, you use water. Where you have wind, you use wind. Where you have high sunlight, we have huge, serious sunlight in Nigeria that we just waste. It just is a natural resource. You don't need to go and power the sun. You don't need to go and power the river or do whatsoever. You just have gadgets that you expose to this natural condiment and you generate power from it, and then it's cheaper. And then it will be better managed, and people will have, and you can also link it to green energy.
But do you see a Nigerian
Clean
government?
energy.
Do you see a Nigerian government that might sabotage all of these things? Because the last 2 months, it started going through a legislation to stop importation of solar panels to Nigeria, citing that there is an industry doing that, because of course we know how it works in Nigeria. You know, so do you see a government that might sabotage all of this, knowing that the money it has invested in both discos and all others might really not be something they would see at the end of the day?
But we cannot rely on hydropower supply for the whole of the rest of our lives. I've not seen the bill Okay, but I know that such bill will come with a lot of contention. It will come with a lot of contention. I doubt if it will pass. I doubt, because the reason I say I doubt, our politicians can be very greedy, they can be sometimes hopeless. But when it comes to a general issue like electrification have a way of forcing you to say the truth. Because darkness is darkness. We cannot, it has no remedy. It has no remedy. You can say, provide medical care for this village and that village and that village. You can write report and say you have provided the medical care, you did not do anything. People in the village will not die. You understand? They will still be okay. But when you say that there's darkness in a village, you cannot go and write a report now that there's light. Because once night falls, you will see the darkness.
Exactly.
So there are things that cannot easily pass. There are things that will not pass. Okay. I heard that story, I read that story, and I was wondering, why should anyone encourage a bill to stop the importation of solar panels? Why? When the entire world, they're looking at how to build stronger, better, effective, sustainable solar panels for power generation. The world has since left hydro. Hydro is the earliest form, from coal to hydro. These are the earliest form of power generation. And they are now obsolete because human society has grown, science has grown. There's AI now. Okay, there's so many areas that science have broken through, for which you now need different kind of innovations to, have society comfortable. And so it will never pass the test of time, even if there's any bill that exists to that effect.
All right. Yes, you have any?
Yeah, based on what Barrister said about, he said right now we have, a person can actually take up a village, like just to power the village. So, sir, if, for instance, now you go to, you're from Delta State, and you decide to power a particular village, like a full village, and then, sir, with that, is it that you've been able to own that? Yes, you have you are the owner of the power. So is it that it is private owned already? Like you are the one. How do I put it? You are the one in charge. And do you think maybe if the government, for instance, or if the government are aware, will they take that? Like will they,
no,
just like what you're saying, will they sabotage?
No. What government? The only government concern is the impact assessment.
Okay.
Environmental impact assessment. There's, if you are building, whether house, solar, whatever, Genco, whatever it is, anything you are building, you must look into the Environmental Impact Assessment Act, which you must ensure that you don't breach any of the law for the environment, of the environment. So that is only what you need. In this case, if we are forward thinking, if we are thinking proper, no one should oppose the issue of solar energy and solar energy resources. Solar energy resources will not usurp hydro power generation completely. You understand? Solar power generation should complement hydro energy. So don't get greedy about it. Okay? There can be a legislation to say that the hydro will give power for 12 hours. Solar will take over from that 12 hours. That's an effective way to go about it. That way, too much energy is not placed on hydro. And too much energy is not placed on solar. So they now share and complement. That way you can have 24 hours supply. Okay? So you are not solely on solar. You are solely on solar every day. The panels will weaken. With the passage of time, you have to replace it. You understand? But now if you have 12 hours hydro, you have another 12 hours solar. Is it not a better deal? Okay, then that will also help the environment. Okay? That will also help both the hydro and the solar system to have a period of rest of 12 hours and work for only 12 hours. So one takes over from the other in 12 hours interval. Is that not a forward way to go about it? So there's no point trying to stop one for the other to progress. We can have both running pari passu and have an economy that works.
All right, beautiful. So just before we will leave for this particular segment, I know this is not part of our newspapers because it's a trending matter, and I think it's very important that we talk about it, Barrister. And this is the issue of Sojimoto versus Enugu State government.
Yes.
And the Enugu State government is accusing Sojimoto of a premeditated fraud. Now, the case, of course, would end up in courts, and I would love to have your expert advice on that. Lots of people have blamed the Sojimoto for lack of corporate governance, a one-man show thing, and that's the reason he's gotten himself burnt so severally in the course of his business.
So I think that the Enugu State government awarded a contract to him. That's from the report I read, and for some reasons, the contract had not been implemented based on the agreement and the whatever it is there. So, but Sojimoto himself have a defense because he's also talking about some things which may have prevented the. But the fact is that it's not enough to push forth allegations. It's not enough. Allegations must come with evidence.
On whose side now?
Both sides.
Okay.
Yes, both sides. Yes, I mean, a contract, award of a contract is the consensus at idem of both parties. In law, once a consensus at idem, the meeting of mind of both parties in a contract in terms of an agreement. Okay. Now, if any of the parties in that agreement have breached any of the terms of the agreement, they'll subject it to litigation or to bring the matter before a court of law for resolution. Okay? So the question of fraud is an allegation. It's an allegation. No courts have confirmed whether truly there was premeditated fraud or whatsoever it is. I mean...
So if someone absconds out of a project site, it's not premeditated fraud?
What you call premeditated fraud? Every fraud is premeditated, if truly it's a fraud. Because intention is what you are looking at. Okay, the intention outrightly was it to defraud. Okay, so when you have fraud, you have to look at intention. Intention is very critical here. In law, we call it the mens rea. Okay, we have the actus reus and the mens rea. Now, you have to evaluate both, and you must be able to establish both before you can actually convict a defendant. Okay, and then the actus reus means the physical act that okay he absconded as a physical act. He's nowhere to be found. But you have to look at the mens rea, the mental act, his intention. Was his intention deliberate? Was it premeditated? Did he enter this contract with the sole aim of disappearance? Never to return. So you have to establish both before you can convict. But if you establish one, you cannot convict. Yes, if factors, okay, militating against the contract or certain things may have obviated his capacity to perform, then you cannot hold him to. If, for example, an act of God.
Okay.
In law, what we call an act of God is this.
I want you to use the building issue as an example.
Yes. The building issue. An act of God is, for example, both of us were discussing about the issue of painting a building, for example. Okay. As at the time we're entering that contract to paint that building had been destroyed by thunderstorm. We didn't know. I went ahead and signed the papers. You cannot hold the defendant or the other party responsible for that contract if it's unable to do it. Because what it's supposed to do does not exist any longer.
Okay.
In law, we call it mutual mistake, where both parties are making a mistake on the existence of the subject matter of a contract. Mutual mistake. Now, we have also unilateral mistake, where it is one person that is making a mistake. Okay, you're asking me to go and paint a particular building, and we are describing it, and you have described and described all that. But I was relating to you believing it's that building, whereas it's another building.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And then when I got to that building, I could not paint because that building had not been plastered.
Oh, okay.
The one I thought we were discussing. So you will not be able to get me because there's unilateral mistake. One person is mistaken for the other. You understand? So, but the law is that if the intention is, because the truth is, from examination, cross-examination, re-examination, you can actually pull out the intent of parties in a case. The court can pull out. The court can just, by listening to both sides, decipher the intendment of parties to the contract, who acted in bad faith. Okay, yes, who acted in good faith but was mistaken. Both parties acted in good faith but they were both mistaken. So, mistake and the law of contract is the most litigated angle of law all over the world. You understand? I remember then in university discussing the law of contract. You could be on one principle of law and they are citing over 10, 12 cases on just one principle of law.
Wow.
You understand? You see the high treat case. The high treat case. You have a Kali versus Carbolic small ball industry. Those are issues of contract. There are so many cases that at the end of the day, that is why when you're able to pass that course, really, you truly understand what law is saying in a manner of speaking. And so that is what it is. In this particular contract, they will bring all actions and inactions of party under legal scrutiny. Yes. And from there, you'll be able to decipher exactly what has happened. Because it will be hasty by way of analysis to say that there was fraud.
Okay.
Or that there was no fraud. Okay. Or that it's because he does things alone, or because the Enugu state government were not pragmatic, the contract was not properly investigated, the act, and it's too early. It's too early. Once there is an alarm like this as to someone has done something wrong, I implore the Nigerian society to be patient, to get to know the root causes of what has happened. There's cause and effect in everything you see. You understand? And there's cause and effect. So let's allow this to go through the legal system, if they're taken through the legal system or they're settling out of court or whatsoever. From there, we can find out truly who did what, when, and how.
Very true. There's so much to learn actually from this particular case. I'm very much interested in it because lots of give and take here. So Jumoto has stated that inflation actually caused the whole issue. A project he was supposed to run for 2 years, went over to 5 years. Cement, as at the time it was awarded the contract, was 7,000. Today cement is 10,000. Well,
he also know what to do. There's what they call variation in contracting. When you are awarded a contract and funds were not released as at when the contract was awarded, and funds were released in later dates, and at the time funds were being released, the cost of materials have taken a new dimension. You brief your lawyer to write for variation, and then meticulously you state what and what has changed as at the time the contract was entered into, and in the contract there must be a clause there stating that if there is a delay in the resources and there is a change in the market prices of things, building materials and the rest of that, there should be a variation to cushion the effect of those changes made. And such variation should be at so percent if the price of things jump to so percent.
Now I know why people blamed him, actually, because they said all of the things you just stated were things he didn't actually take into cognizance. It was more like a paddy thing, according to his testimonial, that the governor begged him, literally begged him, finish this one, there's no money in it, but there's more money in the one I would give you in the future. So those are some of the things that...
Whenever you are presented with things like that, and you are experiencing business, you take your lawyer to put that thing down that the governor just said. Finish this one, there's no money in this one. I will give you this one. Put it in the contract so that the governor will be bound by it. Okay, because this one is saying now, if it's not in any document, it can be denied.
Yes.
Cannot say, I didn't tell you I'm giving you anything. The one I gave you have not done it. How would I have said I will give you another one when the one I gave you have not done it? So we shouldn't do things based on paddy. It kills business. Even if it's your brother, put it in writing. In case you are no longer there when the matter will be before a third party. A third party will act on based on what people agreed on. And what you agreed on should not be oral. It should be in writing, okay? Because you cannot, most times, you cannot enforce your contracts that you enter in by parole. A contract by parole is a contract entered into by words of mouth. And so, at the end of the day, you will not be able to defend it, especially when you are no longer there. And then your, what do you call it? Your successors or agents will not be able to defend whatever it is you guys did.
All right.
The contract is more like a reference.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a developing story, and we will, of course, unfold them as they make happen. Barrister will still be here to take us on our main conversation when we return nationwide.
People, the elections are around the corner. Before you know it, it will be 2027. But before then, for you to partake in the election, you must have